All right, so can you use potting soil for tobacco seeds? No, you cannot do that. And what we're looking at right here is going to be this year's garden space of tobacco seedlings. And I just want to inform you that the soil that I had to use for the tobacco seedlings is a nursery soil, and it cost a lot of money. It was like, almost $100 for 3 cubic yards. But that's because it didn't have sphagnum moss. So if you can get sphagnum moss before the end of the summer, then you'll have it for planting season for your nursery in the spring. Because in the spring, there's usually no sphagnum moss yet because it hasn't been transported. And it's just because it's a busy time of year. So what we're looking at is these are the potting soil samples. And we're looking at how decrepit and everything just kind of dies off because it gets phosphorus burn on the little seedling roots. And right here is my cutoff line. This is all going that way is all potting soil. It's kind of like in this box, really. It's like, and then, but you can see the die off is almost 75% on the potting soil area. And the ones that did survive must be really strong plants, and those were the Virginia Golds. All the Carrillos died except for these three, and they're barely or those four, and they're barely hanging on. And this is 25 days of trying to seed these. Now, what ends up happening is that the potting soil hasn't been treated or anything, and it has all this high fertilizer, so it attracts bugs. And that's bad because after about 20 days, even though the burger media is bug-free, they run out of food to eat because all the little saplings die or all the little sprouts die. And they gobble them all up, and then they go to move on to a new food source. And when they do that, they go and try to spread across the thing. So what I had done is you should right away get fly tape. You should have fly tape up and going somewhere on the side right when you start seedlings. Just keep any kind of those little fruit flies or the whatever they're called, and you keep those at bay as best that you can. And then once you got the seedlings going, I mean, we didn't have the greatest growing light, but we did have window light, and it has been ongoing. And at 80 degrees, 77 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit in the house, these leaves didn't start these sprout leaves didn't start enlarging for pushing out the first leaves until about the 20th day. 24th day, or 20th day, because it's day 25 now. And they're starting to push out, and it's about a 4-week period from the time that you plant, 4 to 5 weeks, to where they start pushing their first leaves. And you have to be very patient, and you have to be very on time with this stuff. So I had a watering schedule, and I used these cups to mark the rows that I watered. And I figure it's best to keep it all even, but I had different planting days, and it took a while to kind of even out the moisture level across the whole batch. But every row I water, I put a marker cup so that I can go water across the all the rows here to keep them watered. Now, last time I watered was day 20. I probably should have watered on day 24, but I'm watering on day 25. It's like a 3 or 4 days, and you have to watch it, and the way that you meter it is with oh man, I don't know if you can see that. There you go. with a giant humidifier. And when you're starting your house up and you're trying to get it moisture content stabilized, you're going to have to refill that 5-liter jug twice a day, every 12 hours, sometimes 3 times a day. And you can turn it up to 65 and it'll continue, so bring up the humidity. But the plants kind of get ill once the humidity starts going above 71. But on some days they like high humidity. Like there was a couple days they were doing great at 73. You just have to feel it. Like, do you feel overly moisturized or overly humid yourself? If you're sweating, you're salivating, you're feeling good about yourself, the humidity is probably good. My humidity right now is 66 in the house, and it's doing good. Now, as soon as the humidity starts falling below 60, you have to be careful. Now, this has a relative humidity adjustment, so it'll kick on at 58 when it goes to 58% humidity. But you don't want to run that continuous because these little sprouts don't do great. They have enough to survive a little bit of weather or whatever, but they don't have a tolerance to survive a dry weather all the time. So you have to kind of raise and lower the humidity of the room, and keeping it more humid is probably the best way to do this. But more humid's kind of like the 65, 67 relative humidity area. But you just turn the knob on the humidifier, it makes a couple adjustments, or you just make a couple adjustments during the week while you're going, and watch your soil, because it'll look black and it can dry out pretty quick, like within just a few hours. So I was on the verge of a mass die-off of my crop about 2 hours ago, but now that I watered it, we kind of stressed them just a little bit where they really want to pick up water right now, and you can almost see them growing right before your eyes. They're just wanting to come up because they're at that day 25 where they want to push those first couple leaves out. And it's tough. I wish I had 3 of these lights, because then that would have kept an even light over the entire thing. So if I had like 3 bar lights, I would have been better off. But I just kind of moved the table around. I probably neglected this side a little bit more than I did this side. But you can see that everything is looking pretty healthy on this side because it was receiving, some extra light. This right here over is all my silk leaf, my Perique, my MD 609, and my African Red. You wouldn't believe this, but African Red is one of the hardest tobaccos to grow or to sprout out. You have to have a really controlled environment. They kind of like a little bit drier temperature soil, but they like a high humidity, and they will get root rot easy, just like a little, too much moisture or whatever, or if something goes stagnant, it needs a lot of oxygen flow, like air movement, gentle. If it doesn't have that, it's really hard to grow this. Now, these African Red are the smallest tobacco seeds, mentioned as one of the smallest tobacco seeds. This right here is an African Red that's doing really good. This one is a silk leaf down over here. And then I think I got a silk leaf. This is that 609 right here. Looks really good. And then I'm surprised this right here is the Perique. So I'm growing a Perique tobacco. This is not the French Quarters down there in Louisiana kind of Perique I'm growing. It's the same variation of Perique, their plant, but I'm growing a Sailor's Perique. So what had happened is there was this red broadleaf that they had as a red broadleaf tobacco, and these broadleaves, somehow they had crossed it and it had got this unique gene, and you can see that they're very unique because the Perique, the silk leaf, and the African red have these really pointy sprout leaves, and none of the other tobacco variations do. Maybe the MD09 just a little bit when it first sprouts up, but they kind of round out after a little while. And but it's very distinguishable. Now, what's distinguishable about the Perique is it's surprisingly strong. Like, it is a grower. It does not want to just die off. I got most of them in the cup are still alive right now, and I forget what that word is. I was trying to see, how many are going to die off. This African red, very difficult. And the Florida Sumatra fooled me in the very beginning. The Florida Sumatra was a really prominent grower, but throughout the month it never really took off. And I don't know if it was getting too much light because I was closer to the window. But that's kind of a rough look at it, what we got going on here. And I'm just going to kind of level everything off. Well, I hope you guys enjoy. Can you use potting soil? Hell no. You have to use a very special nursery medium to get tobacco seeds going the right way. All right, later.